Hey guys, it's TokyoMx here, just coming in finally with the listening video. Sorry about the wait, but I have been trying to study. It's a lie. Anyway, okay, real quick we're just going to talk about the listening and what I do in order to practice it first, and I showed this in my previous review of like JLPT specific studying books, but it's the Nihongo Sou-Matome Listening Comprehension Joukai. This one's really good because what it does is since it's made specifically, dropped it, awesome. Since it's made specifically for listening, it's got a lot of exercises to pick out specific sounds. Now this is not for a beginner wanting to listen because it's targeted for Nikyu, so it's intermediate to lower advanced, and the whole point of it is to be able to recognize certain expressions and vocabulary and try to decipher through context exactly what's being meant. So like here's towards the end it says kimatta hyougen o oboeyo. So let's remember, you know, pre-established sayings, things like that. So, and it has just various things here, and as I showed in the previous video, it's got there's the top of it. Where's my eyes? There's the top of it. You can kind of see what it has entailed. Like I said, it's pretty good in terms of just studying specifically for the N2 and just for solidifying your listening skills. Now, like I think I said in my other video that listening is my weakness, and so I try to study extra hard on it. This one is the next book that I'm talking about. This one has been extremely helpful in not only listening, but my speaking ability as well, is shadowing. So, obviously it's Nihongo Hanasou. Let's speak Japanese. So basically, the whole point is if you listen to it and repeat it, then you'll be more accustomed to it. Like, somewhere along here it says, like, you know, zuru zuru hanaseru you ni kono hon o tsukau yo. Something to that degree. So, this is the blue one. The blue one is the intermediate to advanced. So they say that this would be for intermediate and advanced students, and it starts out with Unit 1 pretty advanced, going, you know, like, no, I wouldn't say pretty advanced. I mean, if you're used to speaking and if you live in Japan, then these are the type of conversations that you have every day, and it's like, will you clean this mess up already? You don't have to tell me, I was going to. Shit like that. In the beginner book, which I also have, I've just let a friend borrow it, it starts, the first one is Soul, Soul. The next one is Konnichiwa, Konnichiwa. So you can hear like the different intonations and tones. That one's really good for beginners into intermediate because of its progression. It goes from being able to say simple things like, oh, how are you doing? And being able to respond naturally and quickly to be able to say things as like, well, why don't you stop your diet? Or things like that. Things that conversations that you generally have in Japan with Japanese people, it allows you to partake in. The next thing I'm going to talk about is NHK News. Now, NHK News I really like because specifically the Easy News, NHK Easy News, because it presents it to you, and I'll do a screenshot of it here. And it, what it does is, as you can see, it has the words laid out clearly. It's spoken a little slower, and the pronunciation is kind of for people learning Japanese, even, you know, Japanese youngsters themselves. And if you don't know a word, you highlight it and explains it in Japanese, which is really good because it makes you think in Japanese, and that's pivotal to being able to jump that, you know, hurdle between, I think, an intermediate and advanced. Easy News, I'd say, is lower intermediate to upper intermediate advanced, just because, depending on what they're talking about. If they're talking about lighting the big 5 characters in Kyoto, which is one of the stories a couple months ago, then that's pretty low intermediate. But then it talks about the WikiLeaks guy getting arrested and sent to Sweden or whatever. That one becomes more complicated. For those looking for that next step above the Easy News, my recommendation is TokyoMx News. They post almost every video on YouTube daily, when a lot of them have scripts with it. The scripts are really helpful to confirm what you heard. It's best not to look at them when you first listen, because when you listen without looking, your mind is actively engaged in trying to understand what it says, instead of reading it to confirm, if that makes sense. So, when you're listening, the goal is to listen and to gain the information or gather the information through listening. And that will really just turn a switch on in your mind. It'll be like, oh, I got it. Reading and listening, while still good, like the shadowing book is good for being able to pick it up and read it and move smoothly with it. To really be able to gather the information through listening, you have to listen without looking at a script. Next, what I generally do is I listen to it one time through, and a lot of it I don't get. And then I listen to it again while reading the script. And that generally helps out a lot more. Sometimes when I don't have the script, I have to listen to it 10 times just to get certain words. And that's just because I'm not used to listening to it as much as a native would be, or someone who's been there for a long time. But yeah, there's finally my review on listening materials for N2, or just specifically Japanese in general. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. And if you have any questions in general or any suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and be sure to like it, subscribe it, and all that jazz. Next week I should be releasing the video on just Japanese, not censorship, but what is that? Like their Japanese version of SOPA, blocking downloads and stuff. So, all right, thanks for watching, guys. Later.